Hello everybody and welcome to My Hero Academia chapter 315 review. And this chapter is titled Platitudes. Now this chapter, I'm just gonna hop right into it because I don't really have anything to say pretense. So the first few pages sort of start with a flashback after After Nagant got Cheesecake out and was given the orders by All for One to go destroy Deku, or get him, or whatever her goal is. She's a hired gun. So the chapter starts off in this flashback with Cheesecake going, "I know that kid, the one who foiled my plan. He's got a real case of hero syndrome." And Nagant then goes and says, "Well, I was hoping you'd be useful, but this is like fate." And she's like, "How about you tag along and ID a target for me?" And Cheesecake says, "On one condition." And she says, "Nah, I ain't taking revenge for you. That's your grudge." And Cheesecake says, "Not that. Don't care about that. I lost everything. Only got one thing left. I want to see the boss." And since this is all of his whole boss syndrome thing. So then we cut back to the future as Nagant is getting ready to shoot Cheesecake. And Cheesecake's going, "I held up my end of the deal, now take me to the boss." And Deku's like, "Oh crap." And And Nagant then goes and says in her mind, "This puts me at risk of jamming my gun, but or her rifle," and she says, "But I've got to keep it up." And she says, "Your hero education taught you have to do one thing above all else, no matter who the victim is, even if you're really screwed up, you got to help them." And Deku uses his pinpoint focus that he used last chapter to sort of grapple from where he was and sort of swing around, that's his Spider-Man power during the Dark Deku arc. And then he uses, but then we get a description of what Fajin is. And the description of the quirk is repeated movements build up motion-based energy for temporary storage and release. So pretty much, just to sum this up how I understood it, if you jump a bunch, you will get all of the energy that you use jumping stored up in your legs. And then you can then go and use all of that energy as a quick burst of power. And then Deku's like, "While getting shot at, I flex it into my legs to protect myself and store up energy. Plus, 1 for all 40%, plus centrifugal force. Everyone in my generation can picture it. The sight of All Might moving faster than a speeding bullet." And then Deku goes and uses a new sort of move. He uses, I don't know how to explain how to say this. It could be 100 different ways. It's either like pseudonym 100%, or it's like Fox 100%. I'm just gonna call it Sue 100%. It's pretty much imitating All Might with it. And he flies through the air and knocks Cheesecake right out of the way, right as Nagant's bullet was getting ready to go past. And then Nagant thinks, "Crap, he copped on my shot. No, it's wilder than that." He was already shifting his trajectory from where I was aiming. And then Deku's like, "We'll talk later, Cheesecake," and goes and sort of uses Black Whip to sort of like stilts. And his third user then says, "I was using 1 for all 4, no." And we get sort of thing of the third user. His Deku's like, "I was using 1 for all, 45%, Danger Sense, Smoke Screen, Black Whip, Fajin, and Float. And I switched them on and off in rapid succession, but it was too much to process at once and my body froze up. Having learned that lesson a second ago, now I've narrowed it down to using 1 for all, Black Whip, and Fajin." Being that his quirk processes are like all messed up when he's got Danger Sense, Smoke Screen, Fajin, Black Whip, Float. So 5 quirks in 1 for all plus 1 for all. It's crazy. Deku's overpowered at this point. And Deku's like, still got one leg up with Fajin. Store up Fajin, and he uses So 100% Manchester Smash. Pretty much using that centrifugal force again to do a Manchester Smash on Nagant, and in the process, destroying her gun, or her rifle. And Deku's like, your rifle is barrels busted, it's over Nagant. And Nagant's like, not a hint of hesitation. He recognized an enemy for who he was, and still leapt into action like it was a natural thing to do. She says, when was it, I wonder? That right, and then she thinks back to the safety commission person who she murdered, and when he says, that right arm of yours will make society a better place, or when she was young, sort of like the Hawk situation. She says, when was it, I wonder? When did the platitudes start making me want to puke? Then as she's falling down, arm all bloodied up, Deku goes and grabs her arm, and he says, the shot headed for Shisuke was off by a little bit. And if you really were allied with one for all in his brand of evil, your very first shot would have hit my lower body and stopped me cold. You've known real darkness, so you've got to know there's a way to bring back the light. Please, fight on our side. I can still tell you've got the soul of a hero. And then Nagant thinks, what a guy. And she starts to say, Zuka Midoriya, you're the real deal. And then we cut over to All For One, who's like, the soul is far too fickle, which is why I added a failure clause into your contract. And Nagant explodes. And Deku screams, Nagant! And then All For One says, to the very end, you are just a tool to be used. Curse your blessing of a quack, if you must. Alas, the helpless, woeful Lady Nagant. And then as you see Nagant's falling to the ground, Deku's like, oh my gosh! Hawk swoops in, and Hawk then says, no dying on me now, Nagant. Now, this is pretty interesting at the end here, because sort of is saying that if there's any more hired guns, and if they got quirks, and what's going to happen from now, will they all blow up whenever Deku defeats them, even if there are good people here like Lady Nagant is ticked in to be here at the end of the battle. And also, we learned in, I think it was 305 or 306, about how too many quirks can just mess you up and all of that. How is that going to work for Nagant? Was her cup, as it was visualized, going to overflow since she already had the rifle quirk? And was she getting ready to die anyway? So that's sort of just something interesting. But yeah, overall, my thoughts on this chapter are pretty good. It's pretty cool to see Deku get this new quirk explained. That's something really big. And then to see just all of the ways that Deku uses his quirk, and then does the So 100% Manchester Smash, and the other just So 100% move. It's pretty interesting. And then I really like Deku's whole sort of speech at the end about how the shot head for Shisuke was off track, and she could have killed him at first if he wanted to. And that's just Deku being a hero, as the series is about. So, in all, I think this chapter was a decent chapter. And then the thing at the end of Hawks is like, oh, will she be saved? Was she died? Is she dead? And yeah, so that's really all I can say about My Hero Academia this week. That was a good chapter. I enjoyed it. In my opinion, it was a lot better on the first read-through around, but hey, it was still good. So thank you all for watching this My Hero Academia chapter review, and this is Glowplasma231 out.